Today is Tuesday, and we're going to try to do a video every Tuesday that explains how we do something timely, whatever we have going on seasonally at the farm. Right now, being spring, it is kidding season. So we're going to show you today what we do to prepare or how we go about preparing our does for birth using only herbs and mineral supplements. It's about 3 weeks before our first does are set to kid, and we only have 3 this year. We have 2 miniatures, which their gestation period is 145 days, and 1 standard La Mancha, whose gestation is 150 days. And you can kind of get a good idea of when they're going to kid by keeping a good history of when they have kidded previously in the past, if you know that. So I know who kids early, who tends to kid later. And with our miniatures, sometimes they can be more like a standard and go 150 days. So it really just depends on what generation they are and their genetics. So I have a pretty good idea because all of those that we have kidding have previously kidded on our farm before. So I have a good history on them to know what they're going to do. So 3 weeks prior to their kidding, we start giving them an herb mix that prepares them for birth. We actually purchase it. It's called a pre-birth herbs that are from our friend Kat at Fir Meadow. And I'll leave a link down below. She is a master herbalist, and she really has amazing products. We start preparing them each week. We give them herbs in the form of their wormer, also a copper selenium supplement that is actually a mineral supplement that is that contains only herbs, and we also get that from Fir Meadow. So our does are getting that to help them during their pregnancies, and they get it all the time because we are copper and selenium deficient in Florida, and both are really necessary for to help the goats, copper especially, to keep them from getting parasites. So that is definitely a necessity, and we keep that around at all times, or we keep them on that year round. But 3 weeks before birth, we start giving them this herb mix, depending on the size of the goat. I have Callie's prepared, and this is 3 weeks before. You only give it to them once. We only give it to them once per day, depending on their weight. Callie is little, probably, I know she's less than 200 pounds, although I'm always surprised at how much they weigh when I actually, we actually get them on a scale, which is at the vet. But pretty sure she's under 200 pounds. Maybe not with all those kids in her, but we put the herb mix into just a little bit of water, and depending on how your goats are, how used they are to herbs, you can add, we will sometimes add a little bit of stevia extract or honey to help it be a little bit more palatable. But our goats, when they see these syringes, they love it. So we just suck it up into a syringe, and I have her name written on this. Will be Callie's personal syringe. So we just suck up her dose into the syringe, and we will just take it out and give it to her once a day. It becomes twice a day the second week before she kids, 3 times a day the last week that she kids. So when we move up to the 3 times a week, I will make them into dosage balls, because that means it makes it a little easier. And giving it to them 3 times a day, I can make it up the night before, and it's not quite as messy or time consuming to have to make a syringe up 3 times a day. So we will do that, and we also, at the same time, we will make sure that they have a really good mineral supplement available, which we always have that available, free choice. And we also make sure they have kelp available, free choice. And we start the couple weeks before. During the pregnancy, we don't feed them as much of their grain as we do when they are in milk. But during the last couple weeks, we start to increase their intake of their grain until they are eating about what they will be eating once they are on the milk stand, because we want them to have a good milk supply when their kids come in, because they will have milk, but they need to keep making it when they have the kids. So we want to increase that. And they can tend to put all of their weight into the milk, which is good because that is what a dairy breed does, but we don't want them to get so depleted. So we do increase their feed up until they kid, and then they go into starting to get their milking ration, depending on how much milk they produce. And we don't know that for the first couple of weeks because we don't separate the kids and we don't bottle feed. Our kids are dam raised, and we keep a small enough herd that our kids don't become wild, even if they're not bottle babies. They see us all the time. We keep them very close to the house, and we have a lot of contact with the kids so that we can make sure they're they're handled and good with people and friendly, and you can do that even without bottle feeding, because we believe that dam raising helps them to get helps their immune system to get started, and it helps them to grow faster. And also it helps me to not have to milk twice a day, because when we keep the kids, I only milk once. The kids stay on their mothers, and if I don't want to milk, say if we have somewhere we need to go, we can't just leave the kids with their dams, and we won't have to milk that day. So it works out much better for us with the schedules that we have, and not being able to be here and having unpredictable things happen. It makes it a lot less stressful. So we do that, and we have 3 goats that are going to be kidding. So we have 3 goats to prepare. And we also we will feed them some extra carrots, some pumpkin seeds. All these things are beneficial for removing parasite loads if they happen to have one, and get that extra nutrition in for them through those last few weeks of pregnancy. And then once they kid, we actually switch to an herbal blend that I make myself that encourages their milk supply, and that has fenugreek seed powder, fennel, alfalfa, the kelp, which in the powder form, and red raspberry leaf powder, and also cinnamon. And we give them that on the milk stand whenever they come in, or we make dosage balls before, because we leave the kids on them all the time for the first 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how the kids are growing. If they're growing really well, we'll start milking at 2 weeks. If they need a little bit more time, because they can, if they have a lot of kids, we have those that will have 3, 4, 5 kids. So depending on how many kids they have is when we start milking them. And we start giving them those herbs plus whatever vegetables that we have. We'll cut up and give them to them during those first couple weeks. And it helps, all of the herbs help them for their milk supply to get the calcium that they need. It helps them with all the minerals, because pregnancy takes a lot of the minerals out. So we need to restore those minerals and make sure that the kids are getting enough and the dough has enough. And it also, the herbs help with contractions and expelling the afterbirth. And we've really noticed over the 10 years that we've been doing this, that since we've been using the herbs for their last 3 weeks, that the labors are easier. We have healthier, faster growing kids with less signs of mineral deficiency. And it really helps the does to not bleed as much after they kid. And I mean, it's considerably less. They don't bleed as much nor for as long. And it just helps the labors to be easier on them. And their milk supply comes in very well. We haven't had a problem with that, I don't think, ever. So that is how we prepare our doughs for kidding season, for them to be kidding. And if you have any questions, you can leave a comment. If you like this video, want to see more of how we do things, hit the subscribe and just leave a comment and let us know what you'd like to hear us talk about. But anyway, thanks for watching. Y'all have a blessed day.